This is Tiffany Apan with Music's Underworld web scene. Today we have Chuck Owston here, and Chuck's had sort of a long-spanning experience in music with a wide range of different genres, and he's become a rather popular staple in my living room sessions.
Very enjoyable.
Oh yeah, they are. So we're doing a little interview with him today, just so you guys could maybe get to know him a little bit better and check out some of his other projects. So, okay, so number one. All right, well, I know we were kind of laughing about, when I showed you the questions earlier, we were kind of laughing about this one, but you have a long-standing career that spans many genres, and what would you say were some of your influences that led you to do everything that you've done up to this point?
Well, I started in music in 1959. I wanted to learn to play the guitar. I'd gone to a record hop and I saw a guy I went to school with in first grade, and he was on stage and he was playing the song Bo Diddley, and it just knocked me out, and I thought, oh, I want to do that, because I had a guitar at home. My dad played guitar. He played kind of Woody Guthrie style folk music, that kind of thing. Played blues piano. So there was music in the house. My mother also played piano. So they were the first influences. I can remember being in my crib at probably 2 or 3 years old and hearing my dad playing the piano roll blues and St. Louis blues on the piano. And so I kind of gravitated toward like the early rock and roll. Bo Diddley was a very big influence. Link Wray, Buddy Holly. Of course, a little bit later, I got into studying Elvis's Sun sessions. I didn't really get into Elvis as early as the others because they were so, more instrumental guitar oriented. Then I went toward the instrumental. One of the first bands I had, the Fabulous Tempests, was a band that just played instrumentals. That's all we did. Kind of like a surf band, we'd call them today, but of course the term hadn't been invented yet. We were just an instrumental rock and roll band.
Right. Oh,
So that's how we got started.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've just been open to music all along.
Yes.
In the 60s, I read an article in a magazine about Bob Dylan, and talked about him being a country blues singer, his first album. And I read Sam Charter's book called The Country Blues, so I thought, well, I want to hear this guy. So I bought my first 2 Bob Dylan albums, and then, I was influenced by that. And then, when he went electric, and then psychedelic music came along in the 60s, I kind of got into that. I never took any drugs in the 60s. That's why I remember everything about the 60s.
That's why you remember it. Well, there you go.
But I didn't like the music. I liked Jefferson Airplane. I liked Cream.
Yeah.
A lot of those kind of bands. Iron Butterfly, all those bands.
Yeah, I love them.
Were influences on me.
Yeah.
And then in 1969, I probably had one of the biggest revelations in my life. I discovered Fairport Convention. Their first U.S. album, and I had always been interested in folk music from going to college in Kentucky and Appalachia, so I knew a lot of those things. But then hearing the British versions, the older versions of the songs like Matty Groves and some of those, I really got into that. But I didn't play that at the time. I just listened to it. And I really, at the same time, I was listening to a lot of old country blues, Booker White, Robert Johnson, those kind of guys. I learned how to play slide guitar in 1970. And kind of emphasized that in my life for probably 15 years, 16 years. 1986, I decided I wanted to start playing the old English music, the Celtic music, and so then I went to that.
Yeah.
And I never gave up any of the styles.
Yeah.
I still can play all of them, but that's what my emphasis was. I
Right.
formed a band not 71, 91. Called Carnival of Souls. They still exist, the Celtic band from Pittsburgh here. And then broke away from that, did a short Gothic project called Revelations in Black, which was kind of dark folk. We lost our singer. She moved to Nashville. So then we went to, I'd formed a band called Company of Knaves, which was a kind of dark Celtic folk rock. kind of medieval, Celtic, that kind of thing. And that still has various incarnations now and then. We get together as a kind of reunion sometimes. Sometimes all the members aren't available, but Casey, who is our singer, sings with me, and we sing at the Gypsy Cafe as a company of knaves. It's only two of us now, but we do that. So then probably 1995, put together, no, not 1995, 2005, put together Bonfire Night. Started out as an acoustic Celtic band, and then that grew into kind of the folk metal thing. I started reading about that in magazines, and we had an opportunity to open for Bella Morte, and of course we couldn't do it acoustically, so we went electric. And went through various people who came and went. But still the basic core unit is there, and we don't play as much as I'd like, but the venues seem to have been closing up for most rock bands in Pittsburgh. There doesn't seem to be a lot of opportunities. But our CD, we finally got it ready to go. We've been working on it since 2009. It's finally done. It's mastered. All we got to do is send away for the CDs and gather the money up, which we were in the process of doing. So it's going to be coming out within a month or so. We'll actually have a real CD, not something that we burned at home or something. It's a real CD, the real deal with a little album cover and all that.
So. And I sing on it too. So.
Yes, Tiffany sings on one of the tracks,
guitar,
and Jason plays guitar. So it's a real project. We had not only local help from Tiffany and Jason, but from Poland. Anna Oklejewicz played violin, recorded it over there in Poland, and we pasted her tracks in, and it sounds like she was in the room with us. Just
fabulous. Fabulous. Now, do you have like a specific, what am I trying to say here? Just like a specific way of how you go about your creative process, I guess, is the question. Or
it's very,
does it just vary?
It's very emotional with me. It's whatever I'm into at the moment. Like several years ago at our church, I painted a mural for our church baptistry, 7 foot by 7 foot. It took me 83 hours to paint. It's done in a glazed style like Maxwell Parrish. Well, when I was doing that, that's all I was doing. I wasn't writing songs, I wasn't playing any music anywhere. That was like my total focus. And usually that's how I do things. If I'm writing, I'm writing. If I'm performing, then I'm performing. Usually I don't do them all at the same time because there's not enough time in the day, plus there's not enough of me to go around. I just kind of get wore out at the stage of the game.
Sometimes you just want to clone yourself and just be able to do everything at once. But so basically it's just kind of like whatever you have to be focusing on.
Just like I recorded a video yesterday and put it up. I've been playing this song by Arcana, the Russian band. I've been playing their one song since last summer. One day at the Beehive in the back area back there where people would sit around and jam, somebody had a guitar and I picked it up and I said, "Do you mind if I retune this?" So I retuned the guitar to an open D tuning, and I was just fooling around with the tuning, and suddenly that tune came to mind, and I worked it up. Well, I never did anything with it except play it around the house, and I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and film this, and I did.
Very cool.
Yesterday, and here it is. Thankfully, their guitar player, Sergey, and he put it up on his page, and it's on the band page, Arcana's band page. Nice. And I've had 1,600 and some hits already.
That's not a bad thing at all. In
a little over a day. So
especially in this digital age.
That was pretty amazing,
Yeah. Now, do you have like just like a preference, because you've dabbled in so many different creative aspects of the industry and everything. I mean, you've done audiobooks, you've done music, paintings, dabbled in a little bit of filmmaking. I mean, do you have a preference of what you enjoy more, or does it vary from mood to mood?
Well, I always love music, but I like to combine the music with the filmmaking. That's the thing that I probably like to do the very best. We did several videos last year. We did the song "The All Souls Band," which I wrote in 1991 about a traveling band, traveling English countryside. We filmed that up in the mountains in the autumn of the year. It came out beautifully. We also, the summer before, had done a kind of a 60s parody song that I did called Julie Patchouli. I did it in kind of a Donovan style.
Yeah.
And I used to joke about that for years. Someday I'm going to write a song, Julie Patchouli, about the 60s.
Yeah.
And we had Rochelle Quinn played Julie Patchouli in it.
Yeah.
And the singer, who's the character in the story that I wrote about Julie Patchouli, Tim Ruff, who's a really good singer-songwriter from Pittsburgh, he played the folk singer, Raven Manning, in it. And so they are the main two characters. I appear in the video in one place. You see my hands playing my guitar. I'm
Your
playing
little cameo.
I'm playing the 1967 Harmony Rocket.
Yeah.
And for the guitar solo. So that's the only time you see me. And it's
Yeah.
actually the band All Who Wonder, which was kind of like a little acoustic thing we did for about a year.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fizzled out.
Cool. So here's something that I've asked a couple people that I've interviewed so far in the web scene, and I'm interested in getting different people's points of view on it. It has to do with the modern Hollywood media and how they seem to very heavily promote the whole overnight success, the whole Cinderella rags to riches story, and what happened within 5 minutes this person was, making millions and touring the world. And do you I obviously it is a very unrealistic view, but what's your view on the whole thing? Because I know the media has probably changed very much so since the 60s, 70s, 80s, and how they, yeah.
Well, what's really interesting is during the late 60s and early 70s, I did not own a television. So I didn't even know what was going on in the media. Mostly my experience with the media at that time was reading Rolling Stone magazine, Cream magazine, Hit Parader magazine, to find out about music.
Yes.
But what else was going on in the world? I mean, I literally saw the moon landing in a department store window television as I was walking by, because I didn't have a TV at the time.
Yeah.
So I was really unaware of what the media was doing at that time. In years gone by, since through YouTube and things, I've been able to see some of those things and actually watch them, but I didn't see them when they were happening. So I didn't know what the media was even doing. Now I have a television. I very seldom watch anything beside the History Channel or the Weather Channel.
Right, yeah.
Seems like that's my two main interests in life. So again, I've never seen American Idol. Never watched it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they're doing, nor do I care, basically, because I know it's a contrived kind of a thing.
Yeah. Very much so.
But I do think that there's a false image given, because I talk to some young people and they say, oh, if I can get signed. And I said, I have friends who got signed in the 60s.
Yes.
And by the time they had been with the record company for 10 years, they owed the record company a small fortune, because all the costs of recording and everything was taken out of their royalties, and they never saw the money.
And it's gotten worse since then too. You hear all these stories in the media about how this person's trying to get out of their contract, and and I've even had people ask me, when American Idol came through town, you should audition, and I was just like, why would I want to do that? And basically sign my soul away to somebody who's gonna try to just contrive and control what I do creatively. I mean, look at Kelly Clarkson. I mean, she was trying to break out of her contract, and I mean, it's really, and I think in that sense, the media just does, they do, especially young people, a huge injustice as far as that's concerned.
Well, and I know Dave Swarbrick in an interview once, who was the fiddler for Fairport Convention for many years, was talking about, he says, the thing that all those years, people thought they were rich. And here, he said, all that was happening was the debt was getting bigger and bigger. And he said they actually played one time for a washing machine. But they actually played
Wow.
a gig to get a washing machine. That was
Wow. Oh my
so,
goodness.
I mean, this is nothing new. Record companies and
Yeah.
corporations have constantly ripped off artists. I mean, it's like when I met Bo Diddley, and I met him several times over the years, but I met him at our flea market right up the street from here, and he was buying copies of his own records because he didn't have copies.
Right.
And he had told me once that he said, you know, when you're young and you're trying to make it, you sign papers. You don't know what you're signing. And he actually signed away his songwriting royalties to Chess Records. And so when the Rolling Stones recorded his songs, he never got the money.
Never got the money.
And that's sad, you know.
Yeah, and that wasn't necessarily the Rolling Stones. That was the record label.
Right, it was the record label, right. They were paying the royalties to who owned the publishing, and the record company owned it.
Yeah. Yeah, sad state of affairs. But you've had the honor of being inducted into the Rockabilly Hall of Fame.
Which is funny.
But like, how did it end up coming about, and did it have any sort of impact on you musically or career-wise? Or
Well, here's the thing about the Rockabilly Hall of Fame. I was in it and didn't know.
Oh.
I had been inducted into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a website originally. Now apparently they have a building, though I've never been there. But they had this website, and my brother found it. It's back before I was even on the internet. And he called me up and says, hey, I just saw your page on the Rockabilly Hall of Fame. And I says, what's that? And I had no idea. But anyway, I got in touch with the person who ran it. I talked to him on the telephone back then because I had no email. I talked, and he wanted some pictures, so I sent him some pictures, and he actually made up a page with actual pictures of me. He didn't know I was even still alive. He just knew I had made 2 records back in the early 80s, and they were on the Bishop label, local label. And it was one of those deals where Ray Bishop, the owner of the label, said he'd like to record some rockabilly. And at that time, we had just had a band that broke up called Memphis Leather. Played for about 6 months. Nobody wanted to hear rockabilly. It was before the Stray Cats.
Oh, okay.
You know? So we'd go play at these places, and people would come up and say, oh, you guys are an oldies band. I said, no, we're not an oldies band, but we're doing the rockabilly style. Some of the songs would fit into that category. So Ray Bishop approached me one night, and he actually wanted to record the whole band at first, but by the time we actually got things going, the band had broken up. So what happened was the first one was recorded less than a quarter mile from here in Mike Colasar's garage. We recorded 2 sides, Bebop-A-Lula, which was by Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps originally, and Baby Let's Play House by Elvis, because he had heard that at one of the Memphis Leather shows, and he liked the way I did it. So we recorded in Mike's garage. We built an echo chamber because I read an article on Sun Records and how they made their echo. So we actually made an echo chamber the same way. And Mike and he played the drums, and actually played the drums on one song, Cardboard Box on the other song. And so we recorded that, me playing rhythm guitar, him playing the drums, and then I went back in and overdubbed the lead guitar. And that was the record. And then the second record, Mike had moved to Michigan at that time, so he wasn't available. So Greg Ide, who had been the drummer in Memphis Leather, who owns Ide's Entertainment, played drums on that. And they were 2 original songs, Rockin' at the Midnight Grill and Rattlesnake Woman. And so they were very blues-based. And 3 of those songs got picked up by a label in Sweden and put on an album called All American Rock and Roll 50s Style. But I never saw any royalties. But Ray Bishop, when he signed me, he said, well, here's what we can do. I can give you royalties and you wait, you know, or I can give you a cash sum up front. Well, I read an article about the blues singer Lightnin' Hopkins. And he said, take the money because you'll never get the royalties. So I took the money. I paid my car insurance with the first record. I didn't have money for my car insurance. That was a godsend. I was able to do that.
Absolutely.
So these records, they were obscure, but they sold well, apparently. And so what happened is it got me in the Rockabilly Hall of Fame. Now, the only problem with that is I couldn't translate that into any kind of an active performing situation.
Right.
Now, there were rockabilly bands around Pittsburgh at the time
Mm-hmm.
that I got inducted, which was 1998. We finally had a ceremony night at Rosebud,
Mm-hmm.
and I put a band together and played at it.
Mm-hmm.
But it never went beyond that.
Right.
And the reason is,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a big pompadour anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have long sideburns. I didn't have tattoos. I didn't look the part anymore,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I didn't look like a rockabilly guy.
Yeah.
You see old pictures of me from the 60s, yeah,
Mhm.
then I did.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I was getting older, and I didn't kind of fit the mold.
Right.
It was a youth market, you know.
Yeah.
So it never really became anything.
Yeah.
And it's an honor to be in it. It
Yeah.
really is. But, you know, it's like I tell people, that and $1.50 gets you a cup of coffee up the street.
Of course. Yeah.
So I've never made any money playing music. It's always been a hobby. It's never
Yeah.
been a career. It's never been a job.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted it to be.
Right. Yes.
So,
but you do have a variety of different projects coming
Oh,
up.
yeah.
I know you mentioned the Bonfire Night CD, of course, and then your act with Casey.
Right.
Can you maybe just give us a little bit of background on like the CDs and the
okay.
projects?
Well, with Casey, we have sung together for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I met her at Moondogs one night at the meeting of the Pittsburgh Blues Society. And then got to know her when the society moved down to the back room on South Side. And she would sing a couple songs with me. Well, we had a 12th night at the church,
Mm-hmm.
and we were doing medieval music. And
Right.
I said, Casey, what do you want to sing? And she said, well, I never sung this kind of music before. So I made her up a tape of some of the songs we're going to do. She learned harmony parts. It clicked. It worked really well. So when I formed Company of Knaves, I asked her to be in it. And then we've sung, you know, off and on. But the Mandolin and Tambourine CD, which is the newest one that we've done, was just taken from stuff from the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wrote the song Mandolin and Tambourine about her because she's the only person I know that plays, I joke about this, lead tambourine.
Lead tambourine.
Yeah, she just goes
Something
crazy.
you don't hear every day.
She
You know?
goes crazy on the tambourine. And at the time, I wrote that song, which was last fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading an article about Ronnie Lane from The Faces.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie Lane left the Faces and started living in a gypsy caravan and put together this thing, The Passing Show, where they traveled around. They had like a circus,
Right.
and they were like a traveling show. They would come into a village, set up, and play.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, boy, this is a cool idea,
Yeah.
doing this, you know, this kind of gypsy thing. And something I kind of always wanted to do, but, you know, I was always tied down with responsibilities. I couldn't just take off and do that.
Yeah.
But so I wrote a song about people that were just traveling around, and that was Mandolin and Tambourine.
Oh.
And we made a new recording. It was the brand new recording from the CD. We recorded that particular song upstairs in my attic where I've got the studio. And it's been really well received every time we play it out.
Yeah, I've heard it. Sounds really
So-
good. So, yeah.
But that's how that situation came about. And then, of course, the Bonfire Night CD, it just seems like it's been endless, but it's really good. I'm real pleased with it. I can't say that I can find fault with anything, and I
Right.
can't say that much with many of my records. I did a record in 1972. We did it in the studio on a short term. We used all our money, my ex-wife and I, she used to sing with me at that time.
Yeah.
We went and did that album, and there were things I wished I had more time to work on and go
Yeah.
back to make it better. There was
Of course.
anything that was really wrong with it. I could say, oh,
Right.
this is bad, but it was just like, it was so rushed.
Yes.
I didn't get time to really explore what I wanted to with it.
Mm-hmm.
Bonfire Night, we went in, we recorded, then we tracked everything. We went back in, and if something just didn't sound right, Roland Poole was our engineer at Starglider Studio,
We
and he
like
did a
Roland.
great job, and he's a great producer.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ever done anything quite like what we were doing, but he did a great job
Yeah.
putting us all together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we had.
Mm-hmm.
We had that situation, and I'm so well pleased with it. You know, just
Mhm.
listening to it,
Yeah.
I listen to it and I think, wow, this
Mhm.
is really good. This
Yes.
really does the trick. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm real happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what I've heard of it sounds, really great. And of course, we were happy to be on it. So, and yeah, so basically, finally, it's kind of a cliche question, but something that a lot of people, I think, usually ask and, want, and kind of important, I guess. But like, to young people, kind of getting back to the fourth question about, the unrealistic views of that the Hollywood media put out. Like, what would you say to like a young person trying to break into the industry? So
all right. Here's what I tell most people. Don't give up your day job. No,
at least not right away. Yeah.
What I think about it is, and I've talked to a lot of people. I just had a very interesting thing happen that I heard about. Two friends of mine who go to the Club Cafe Acoustic Cafe had one of their songs picked up by CBS for the Flashpoint show, and it was used in the end of the show at a very emotional part of the story. Their song was played.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know how that happened. I never got the details. I haven't talked to them about it, but I did get to watch the broadcast. I thought it was done really well. But that is like, the only thing that I've seen in the Pittsburgh area where anybody kind of broke out and went beyond, just the local thing.
Yeah.
I tell people, give it your best shot.
Yeah.
But don't be disappointed if nothing happens.
Right.
Because, it's one of those things that music isn't like it was in the 60s and 70s when they were signing everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
But again, those people that got signed, a lot of them, they never made any money.
Right.
So, I've heard of bands that were put on retainers for £50 a week. This was in England.
Yeah.
And that was their salary. And of course, £50 went further then than it does now, obviously. But still, that was kind of like they were living on the poverty level. They were a bunch of hippies, and nobody thought much about it. It was some money coming in, but that wasn't their focus. They weren't really trying to get rich. And people today get this idea: oh man, if I become a star, if I become another Britney Spears or something, I'll be wealthy and so forth. And those things just generally don't happen.
They don't. No, so, but I mean, not that you shouldn't go after your passion.
No, if you have a passion for it, go for it. You might be the one that gets picked. You might be the one that makes a success of it. Nobody knows. I was just talking to some people that I went to college with about the first time we saw the Beatles. And we were in college. It was my junior year. We were in the rec room. They had a TV, a little black and white TV about this big, and we were watching the Beatles for the very first time. We'd heard about them, never seen them. And I remember the whole audience there at the college, and you remember this was a religious college in the 60s.
Yeah.
So was divided.
Yeah.
About half the people thought they were fabulous. They thought they were great. I was in that group. I thought they really had something really cool. Yeah. The other half, you had people saying, flash in the pan. Oh, they'll never go anywhere. Yuck. I mean, that was the kind of comments. Yeah. And yet, we know what happened to the Beatles. We know that they were successful.
Oh, absolutely. And but the thing is, it's like there are so many different levels of success today. I mean, some people, they're successful on a local level. Some people are successful on an international level, but just kind of doing it themselves.
Well, the one thing that's great today is you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
There are the means. You can buy the equipment. It's not that expensive.
Right.
And you can record. You can make. I mean, Abbey Road was made on a 4-track machine.
Yeah.
I mean, most of those classic tracks that we think of as classic rock were made on 4- and 8-track, mostly recorders. And I have an 8-track recorder upstairs. Yeah. That is state of the art compared to some of the things they recorded on.
Absolutely.
But it's knowing how to use the equipment too.
Yeah.
I mean, just having the equipment doesn't do it.
Right.
I started the first recordings I made on a 2-track Radio Shack recorder. You could overdub one time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but it's the same thing with photography and filmmaking. You can have the best equipment out there, but if you don't know how to use it, it's gonna look like crap, you know.
Right.
Just like you can have like a cheaper piece of equipment, but if you know how to use it, I mean, it can look like it was done for like 100K, you know.
Well,
so.
somebody asked me about the Julie Patchouli video. They said, what kind of camera do you use? And I said, I just used a flip camcorder.
Yeah.
I said, it cost me $100 on Amazon. And they said, well, the quality is so good. And I said, well, that's just because they make stuff so good today.
Yeah, but basically, you know, people shouldn't just put their faith in getting discovered and getting signed. You know, it's better to just learn how to do it yourself, like the 70s punk rock method. You know, like it's.
Well, part of the thing that I find enjoyable is the fact that I can create things at my own time.
Yeah.
I'm not watching a studio clock. I'm not putting out a lot of money.
Right.
And I do it when I feel like it. I feel really good. You know, I remember years ago recording. One of the problems I had with where I used to live was I was trying to record things. And I would have to, I lived in a mobile home at the time, and you have to set everything up. And by the time you get everything set up, you're spending an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours setting stuff up. And then you go to record, you're already beat.
Yeah.
You've lost the edge. Now, if I feel like recording, it's up there. I just walk up, I'm ready to go.
Oh,
that makes a big difference.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Chuck. It was
thank you, Tiffany.
Pleasure having this conversation with you. And check out Music's Underworld webzine, and check out Chuck's projects, and